Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fabulous city of Las Vegas here in Nevada. We are at the Poker Go studio at the Aria Resort and Casino, and we're ready to get into week number 2 of the Vainglory Premier League Summer Open. We've already had our play-in rounds, and now it's time for our big ticket teams to step up to the stage. My name is Munchables, and I'll be joined, as ever, by Tasty Bacon.
How's it going? Looking forward to these matchups. We're in the round of 16. The top 16 teams in Europe and North America going to be battling it out.
Yeah, we're going to be whittling those teams down over the next few weeks to find out who the best team in each region is going to end up being. Let's take a look at our round of 16 brought to you guys by the Razer Phone. We're going to be focusing on the A quadrant here today. We've got Clash stepping on up. Greg, talk to me about this bracket. Who are the teams that really jump out at you?
Well, obviously, you're going to have Queso and Clash jumping out at you if you're looking at this bracket as a whole. Those are the two top teams. We haven't seen them since preseason. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring to the table. But personally, I'm actually looking forward to the most out of all of the round of 16 matchups. Team Asura versus Xseed. A little bit later on in the tournament, we're going to be seeing that. And that's two teams that there's a lot of familiar names on both sides of the rise, which we don't necessarily have super frequently in the round of 16.
Yeah, there's a lot of names there that you guys at home are likely to recognize, even though the team names aren't necessarily what you're used to. But I'm very excited for the fact that we're going to see Clash later today as well. We were talking about it earlier. This roster is so stacked. They have more pro players on their roster than they have available slots on the map. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's see how this tournament is going to be played out. This is our Poker Go format for you guys. Last week, in the first week of the tournament, was the play-in round. That was to decide who would be in our top 16 teams for each region. Now we're in the round of 16. This is elimination zone now. You get a best of 3 to decide whether you will survive in the tournament and whether you can push on to the next stage.
And you mentioned we're going to be seeing some of the teams today, the teams that are going to have the chance to move on to the top 8. Right now, today, are going to be in Europe, Raw Fury taking on Danger Zone team, followed by Clash and Great Invoxus going head-to-head. Later on in North America, we are going to see Rampage Gods versus Playful Fangs, followed by Tribe versus Toxic Peace to round things out. But we mentioned Clash, one of the big ticket teams. We got to hear from a little bit from Disowned on our Razer phone-in.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Disowned from Team Clash, and today we're going to have our first match at the VPL. We're feeling really confident as the first seed for the tournament, and I'd say that's because we have the best player in the world on our roster, Justman00. Make sure to keep the camera focused on him in the top lane to see some truly flawless gameplay. I know myself, I'll be demonstrating some monstrous mechanics in the mid lane, and I guess if all else fails, maybe like Leon or I'm the Doom might play okay too. All joking aside though, I hope you'll be supporting us as we look to take down the other top teams in Europe.
Definitely a good sense of humor on Disowned there. It's kind of naming himself as the MVP. We'll see if Leon and I'm the Doom can show up. I heard that they're relatively decent players.
Yeah, not bad.
Someone told me there's a whisper going around. Let's take a look at update 3.6 though, because that is the server update that we're going to be playing on today. So we are on the live servers. Silvernail will not be available. Just to clarify, the new hero is not available in this update for the pros, but the patch changes are. So let's just quickly glance over some of the big impact changes. So first of all, Lance, his damage reduction has been increased pretty significantly.
Yeah, they took it off the crystal scaling and instead gave it to him as flat numbers. So now if you really want to maximize that damage reduction, you don't have to build a crystal path.
Yeah, absolutely. We also had Kensei got a slight buff to his mobility, a cooldown reduction. Question marks? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he didn't actually do that well in week 1, so maybe it was necessary. I don't know. Excoundrel definitely disagrees with it based on my conversations with him. Tony also got a change, kind of rearranging where his damage is in his kit.
Yeah, a little bit more damage onto his taunt and a little bit less from just the straight up punches, and also a lot more scaling with the weapon power scaling as opposed to the flat damage there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally we had Arden as well. His Vanguard was nerfed a little bit, reduced shield.
Always sad to see Arden nerfs.
Tasty Bacon is obviously devastated about this state of affairs. But to be fair, he was one of the top picks in 2 separate roles at the same time. I think he needed tweaking.
Kind of needed a little bit of a tweak, but I don't think it's going to really change his impact in games that much.
No, I think realistically, I think across the course of the patch, if you guys haven't read the update notes just yet, make sure to go and have a look at them. Generally speaking, most of the changes were small tweaks. This update wasn't crazy. It wasn't like tons and tons of stuff happening. So I'd expect, generally speaking, the meta to remain fairly similar to what it was at week number 1.
Yeah, really, the Lance and the Tony changes were the two biggest changes. And, so we might see a little bit more Lance as a result of that, but that's really the only major impact that I feel like this is going to have on which heroes are getting picked and banned into this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we'll start to sort of lean towards our matchups here. We're actually going to be rearranging the schedule just a little bit. We're going to be jumping into our game with Clash going up against Great Invoxus first off. So let's talk about this top-down level, right? We haven't seen Clash in a fair few weeks, honestly. We saw them in, a few months,
about
actually.
2 months.
We saw them in preseason, obviously. Clash, a very, very strong team, a team that has very high expectations coming on into this tournament, and rightly so. Talk to me about what it is that sets this team apart from just your run-of-the-mill squads.
I mean, a lot of it was just how quickly they were able to figure out 5v5, and the way that they approached the game was unlike anyone else. In week 1 of the preseason invitational, it was Clash just had the best style, the best way of playing the game, and then everyone else was scrambling to catch up. Whereas now, a lot of other teams have kind of figured that out, but it's how do they execute it on it. Whereas Clash, they've been executing on this same style for 2.5 months now. So you have to figure they have a clear-cut advantage coming into this game because of that.
And not even just their understanding of 5v5. Obviously, it's incredibly important. They are an incredibly storied team when it comes to not just 5v5 but Vainglory in general. But I want to talk about specifically Leon here. And obviously, the rest of the roster is incredibly stacked as well. But when you've got Leon on the team, he's pretty much steals the spotlight. But the big thing I want to talk about here is his top hero during preseason was Churnwalker. Leon has this storied past of being the best carry in Europe, right? But he's kind of been toying with other roles.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one of the things about Clash is all of these players, or the majority of these players, I shouldn't say all, but the majority of these players on this team are fully comfortable switching roles on a whim almost, it seems like at times. We've seen Leon as a carry in the preseason. We saw him as a captain a lot of the times, but they don't hesitate if they have to switch roles. You mentioned they have 7 players that theoretically could be a starter on just about any other team in the region, and so they're fully happy to, if they do use one of their substitutes, it's not a downgrade in any sense. It's literally just, okay, we're going to put one of our other players in, he's going to play mid, so Leon, you're going to be captain this game, or we have a captain who's going to sub in, so Leon, you're going to be playing carry this game. So they can just retool their lineup however they need.
And it's all about who's good at what hero as well. It's not just about who's default set to what role. It's about who's going to be the best in this situation. That is a great strength to have. Now, just to update you guys at home, we're just getting the players into the lobby. We've had to rearrange the schedule slightly as our first 2 teams weren't ready to go just yet. So we've jumped into the second match of the day. So the players are just getting onto the server and ready to rock and roll. So let's talk a little bit about Clash's opponent. We've talked pretty extensively about Clash. In fact, let's take a look at our rosters. Obviously, for Clash, we have Leon, Agony, Imagination, Justman, Disowned, and then we also have Hell's Devil and I'm the Doom in the substitute positions. And all 7 of those players are likely to be on the map today. They really can swap things around.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't necessarily know who's going to actually be playing because at any point up until the draft, they may swap it and say, we want On the Doom in there. But on the other side is going to be Great Invoxus, and we got to see these guys last week in their play-in game. Wasn't the cleanest of games, but a couple of names that were in the preseason. So they have some experience going up against top teams with Jiraxis, Refuse to Lose, Prostoy, Buka Bepahuka, probably one of the best names in the European Vainglory scene right now, and Big Silver King. So again, this is a team that they struggled a bit in their matchup, and so this is now really important for them to come out and look strong. No one is expecting them to win this matchup except maybe themselves if they're confident. But
mums and the grandparents.
Yeah, that's fair. But realistically, this is a matchup where you go into it not expecting, you're trying to win, but you're not expecting it against a team like Clash. But if you can just make a strong showing, that just gives you a lot of, kind of that energy going into future events to say, okay, we were at least able to hold our own. Let's now try and improve that even further.
Sure. I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate to that because if I was one of the players on Great Invoxus right now, my mindset wouldn't be, it's Clash, we're going to lose. Because if you go in thinking we're going to lose, you pretty much are sealing your own fate right there. I'd be going in saying, hey, my name is Jiraxis in all caps, right? I'm going to body these fools. I'm Demon Lord of the Eridar, right? Kind of.
That's why I said
you want to go in strong and you want to be.
They're going to be expecting to win, but I can't.
I gotta go in strong.
Honestly look at you guys and say, I think Great Invoxus is going to win. Like that's not something that is going to happen.
What is the scenario that they do win then? What do they need to do? What were the strong points from last week that they can move forward with to have a chance against Clash here?
The biggest thing that they need to do is something that we didn't see from them.
Okay.
And that's something that is, I think, just being able to play and defend against aggression. In their matchup last week, when they were the ones that were being aggressive, they played a lot better. But when they were defending against an aggressive move, they kind of fell apart at the seams. And Clash is all aggression from the word go. So you really need to be able to defend against that aggression. That needs to be your number one step against Clash. Before you try and go aggressive against them back, you have to be able to defend against what Clash brings to the table.
Honestly, one of the things I'd love to see this week from our playing teams is just a little bit more coordination, especially if we look at the big old dragon Blackclaw. We had a lot of teams that would grab Blackclaw and then kind of just disperse across the map, and you'd have someone farming in bottom lane at their own tier 2 turret, then you'd have 2 or 3 people pushing mid with Blackclaw, and then someone else like doing the blue treant or something, and obviously the 3 pushing just immediately get wiped by the full 5-man of the other team, and you kind of have to just wonder why.
Yeah, I mean,
why not use the objective?
There's times when split pushing with the Blackclaw is a good decision, but it's only if you did the work to preemptively build up a minion wave that's about to crash into an enemy turret. Then yes, you send 1 or 2 members to go deal with that. You keep the rest of your team with Blackclaw to keep that pressure on. But so many times, like you mentioned, we saw teams that would they would go and defend one of their second tier turret. That is not an important turret, especially with the turret changes, so that if there's no enemy in range, they only get 50 gold each. So let that turret go to minions. It doesn't matter if you're going to be able to push in and potentially win the game like we saw in a few instances.
It's like, yes, you're going to lose that turret, but if you're currently pushing their tier 2 in the mid lane, first of all, that trade alone is worth it. But you also you've got Blackclaw. So maybe you even get a barracks, or an armory, sorry. Maybe you're able to push in, like you said, maybe even end the game.
One of the other things that I want to talk about for a lot of these play-in teams that we didn't get to see much of, didn't really talk about it too much, but I think it's going to become very prevalent as these teams start matching up against the Clashes and Quesos, is the other dragon on the map. We talked about Blackclaw all the time. Ghostwing is so important as well early on. One of the things we saw from the top teams in preseason was as soon as Ghostwing was up, 8-9 minutes, they were capturing it. There were games where we didn't see a Ghostwing captured until 12, 13, 14 minutes. And that is something that, again, against a top team that is ready to fight around Ghostwing at 8 or 9 minutes, if you are not ready to fight that, you're giving over a free objective, and they're going to use that damage buff from Ghostwing to just start shoving down your turret. So you need to be able to play more proactively around those big objective timers.
Yeah, I definitely think Ghostwing is one of the more underrated objectives in Vainglory. It really is effective. It's just maybe not the most obvious advantages when you're actually in a game of solo queue yourself. Now, I just want to update you guys at home. We are going to be talking Vainglory here on the desk for a few extra minutes here. We're waiting for the players to get onto the server and to kick this game off. But we are likely going to be about 15 minutes until this game begins. So just a heads up to you guys, if you need to grab a cup of tea or something, or I don't know what, I guess this is the EU stream, so grab a cup of tea. Do what you got to do. Be back in 10 minutes time because that's when this game will be kicking off. But in the meantime, stick around because we are going to be talking Vainglory. We're going to be going through.
You never know, they may get on early.
Yeah, maybe they will get on early. Certainly hope we can get this game underway. This is the bracket that we're looking at today, though. This is our Razorphone Group A bracket. So when we looked at our round of 16 earlier, this was the top left corner. We've got Clash vs Great Invoxus, which is the match that is coming up. And then Ra Fury and Danger Zone team will hopefully be a matchup that's happening today. If not, it will be a matchup that never happens because it will be a default win. But as you can see, these guys are going to be pushing on forward. This is the round of 16 where the teams are right now. The next stage of that is the quarterfinals. So anyone who manages to win their matchups across the course of today and across the course of tomorrow and next weekend, that will be them moving on into the quarterfinals, into the top 8 of each region. Let's take a look at our Rockstar Rewind, though, of Clash in the preseason, because this is a team, we've already talked about them a lot. There's just so much power on this squad.
And this is that cohesion that you were talking about. You see every single member of Clash is here, ready for this fight. And when they, even when they split up, it's still very coordinated, very organized. Like, okay, we only need 1 or 2 of you to go chase that kill. You guys do that, the rest of us are gonna start setting up for the objective. And that's something that they have that trust in each other to do very frequently, of just splitting up the team, saying, we know we can get this kill with just one person. We know you can chase down that kill. We're gonna go start setting up another push somewhere else on the map while you finish that one up.
Yeah, and the amazing thing to me is that that was a Clash that had like Net Toilette in the gang. Like the roster has rearranged somewhat, but they're still looking incredibly fantastic. They've still got 7 pros on this on the team. So let's take a look at our brackets across the course of the day. We're going to be talking about each of our individual groups and talking about kind of these matchups and how we think it's going to be playing out across the course of the next few weeks. So Group A to start with, obviously, Clash versus Great Invoxus is a matchup we've already talked about a little bit today. It's definitely Clash favored, that's fair to say. But let's talk a little bit about Ra Fury versus Danger Zone as well. Obviously, these guys, fairly unknown players. Do we have one team that has an edge here, or is it kind of just unknown?
I think it's a little bit of an unknown. Like you look at it, and I want to say Ra Fury has a slight edge, just because I typically will end up favoring teams that have the full roster of substitute spots included over a team that's just the 5. I mean, it's not, there's no science behind it. There's no, you could have a team of the 5 best players and say, you know what, that's our team. But in my mind, just seeing a team that has the full 7 says, okay, they're at least prepared. Like they know that if we need to have a substitute, we at least have them available. And so it just kind of shows that little bit of extra preparation in my mind. But there's really, again, nothing game performance related that's based off of.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the other side of the bracket now. We'll take a look at Group B. Now, we've talked a lot about Clash this morning. The guys that are really going to be battling against them, we'll be able to take a look at Group B in a second, is going to be Queso. Obviously, this is your Group A. You've got Clash there, Great Invoxus, Ra Fury, and Danger Zone. But over in Group B, we have Team Queso. Now, we also have a team that we managed to see last week, Fern Skullblacker, which they actually had a really good series last week. Fern Skullblacker versus Andaluk Gaming. It was a messy series, but it was a really good one. And Fern were the team that managed to push on forward. They're going up against Queso, which is going to be happening next weekend. That is a difficult matchup.
Yeah, and again, it's one of these very similar things to this Clash matchup that we have today, in that for the play-in team, they're the ones that they're going to have to step up so big if they want to hold their own against Queso. You know, you're going to have to play around those objectives much cleaner than what we saw from them in their play-in matchup. And again, they didn't look bad in the play-in matchup, but I still feel heavily that if you're going to hold your own against these top teams, you needed to dominate your play-in matchup. And while they didn't dominate it, they didn't look bad in it either. So that's at least, you know, a little bit of a silver lining on it. So, but there's a lot of work that has to be done to hold your own against a team like Queso.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about Queso as a team as well, because, you know, we keep on mentioning this name. We've talked about Clash's roster earlier today. Queso, obviously, you've got the old SK boys in there. You got like Tyras, some of these big names that you guys are used to seeing back in 3v3. But Queso as a team, it's very similar to Clash, where they do have this full roster of pros. It's not just 5 guys grouping together for the tournament. This is a full all-out roster.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can look at Hundor as well on that team, Tetno, JJ, Palmatoro. Like, again, it's a stacked lineup, and it's just, they're along with Clash. There's a reason why they were the top 2 teams in Europe in the preseason, and it's because of just the individual talent combining with that cohesion of understanding the 5v5 meta and being able to change and play to the new map, but being able to also win their individual matchups as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see these guys now that there's money on the line, basically. Now that we're into the real games, we'll see whether they're going to be able to hold it together, keep their stuff going, and especially if we get Clash and Queso both moving through the brackets. I mean, they are the favorites.
Yep.
We could have a Clash Queso final. That would be something else. They're on opposite sides of the bracket, so we'll have to see.
It's not even that much of a, like, if there was like a bracketology thing, it's not even much of a stretch to predict Queso Clash as a final.
They are, or at least in preseason, they were, easily the top two teams in Europe. We'll see if that's going to continue to be the case across the course of this season. Now, for any of you that are just joining us, we are currently waiting for our first game to start. We're just getting Great Invoxes and Clash onto the server, getting them ready. It's likely going to be another few minutes yet, so make sure you stick around. The games will be kicking off probably about 10-15 minutes time. We'll be able to get on into our first game of the day.
Yeah, and before we move on from the B bracket, I do want to also talk about that other matchup in the B bracket. This was the one at the top of the show. I said this was going to be the one that I'm actually almost most excited for because it's Team Asura versus Xseed. And, name-wise, that doesn't mean a whole lot. But once you look into it and look at the rosters these two teams have, Asura is the team that features Tricky and Hunter RX, who are both names that Tricky has obviously been at the top level. Hunter RX has been in the Challengers for quite some time and is always on one of the top teams, along with Bruto as well on that side. Then you look on the other side and you have Xseed, Baby Group Part 2. Obviously, again, very well known from Challengers, were in the preseason as well. But then Elo Hawk, aka Ponchik, aka Donut, also going to be on that team. But then Bastion is a returning name. Bastion was, if you followed Vainglory from the beginning, you know Bastion extremely well. And now he kind of took a little bit of time off, but he is back now with this Xseed roster, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table now.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, the B bracket is kind of stacked. I'm excited to see how that's going to progress. Let's take a look at Group C in a moment. We're going to be taking a look at, obviously, the opponents for Group A, essentially. There's two sides of the bracket. When we get to those semifinals, it'll be A versus C and B versus D. So Group C is another one that's fairly stacked. You've got Rising Lotus in there, which, again, some of these old school 3v3 pros going to be stepping on in. Little Godfather is going to be their opponent. You can see in the bottom left, this is Group C. So Rising Lotus and Little Godfather. Little Godfather technically played in the playing rounds, but it was a default win. So we still don't really know what to expect from this team. It's not names that have been around the scene for a long time. So that's definitely going to be a matchup that I'm curious to see what Little Godfather can do.
I like the mentality that Little Godfather have as well, because when that match was declared a forfeit, they were actually upset. They're like, well, that's not how we wanted to get our first win, but I guess obviously we'll take it, but they were actually upset. They wanted to play. They wanted to actually earn the victory. And so that's actually a really cool mindset, I think, to have for a team coming into a tournament like this. It's not just, oh, we're just happy to get as far as possible. Like, free win, yes, we get to run deeper in the tournament for free. They want to earn it. They want to prove that they are a team that can contend.
I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table as well. And I mean, we'll talk about Rising Lotus as well, their opponents. Now, Rising Lotus is a name that you guys will recognize at home. Some of the players are those old school pros, but it's not quite as stacked as like your Clashes and your Quesos. You've got PT Lam in there, who, phenomenal Glaive player. We saw him a lot. I think it was on Clash, I want to say, in 3v3.
Yeah, Glaive and Celeste were the main two heroes for PT Lam.
Yeah, obviously, back when Glaive and Celeste were characters that you would play in the same role. This is a while ago now. You got Mr. K-Cool on there as well, who we saw sneaking on in 3v3, came through challenges into the VG8 as well. And there's a couple other names on there that you maybe recognize, but those are kind of your two highlight players. But when you're comparing that to the rosters of like Queso and Clash, when it's all these standout highlight top three pros from 3v3, then this is definitely a team where if you're a Little Godfather coming into this matchup, there's real potential. You could believe that you're going to have a chance here and take the series.
Yeah, and again, because Little Godfather didn't play, like, they have that extra little unknown factor. And we talked about how these, like, the matchup with, Raw Fury that we were going to be talking about was neither of these two teams has much about them, so you kind of want to keep your cards close to your vest. For a team like Little Godfather coming in now, this is an established team. This is where you kind of start to play a couple of those cards, throw out a couple of those odd picks if you have them, and just see what works in your first game at least. If it doesn't work, then you just kind of scoop them back up and go back to the traditional sort of compositions. But it's one of the things that is a big advantage for a team to not have much footage on them historically, because then you have that unknown factor going for you.
Absolutely. And then the last matchup will be Divine Vendetta versus Historic in Group C. But we're about 5 minutes out now, hopefully, from this game. So we're going to move on and start to talk about the D section of our bracket here. So we'll start off by talking about Sly versus Team GG. Now, Sly, once again, another roster that we have some serious names here. We have some of the guys that you're going to recognize. This is our 3rd seed in the tournament. And the whole squad is going to be headed up by Keanu Nakoa.
Yeah, and this is... Keanu Nakoa is one of those names that historically you kind of associate him with Rising Lotus, but now he's going to be with Sly, and that's a little bit of a change of pace.
I always think of G2, honestly, back from 3v3 days, right?
But Keanu Nakoa is one of the originators of the original. Like, I'm going back even further from just like the early days of 3v3. But we don't have too much more time to break down this bracket because we are into our draft.
We've done it.
First draft of the day. It is time to get our matchup underway.
We've been talking a lot about getting Clash onto the map, getting them on camera. We are here. We are in game. Clash are stepping up to the stage. They're going up against Great Invoxers, and we'll see what Great Invoxers have up their sleeves to be able to take this matchup on. Clash are starting things off by banning Petal, and everything I've prepared for the draft is out of the window at this stage. I don't really know what to do.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Oftentimes that is a sign that a team is maybe not respecting their opponents as much as they probably should.
Yeah.
But that can be a sign when if you're going to slip up. If you don't respect your opponents, that's how you can lose games that you should be heavily favored in.
I mean, so let me just quickly, it's very easy to get excited and go, oh, they're just like throwing the game away. One thing that you can do, obviously, if you ban things that no one's ever going to pick, you leave all of the power picks open. So it's guaranteed that they can... Well, yeah, that means... But, like, you can see Great Invoxers ban 2 of the power picks. There's kind of 4 major power picks right now. So you kind of trade 1 for 1. They got Kensei straight off of the ban. So with Reza and Kinetic banned, Anchor is also open right now. And it's not been picked up by Great Invoxers. I feel like Anchor should have been picked up there by Great Invoxers. But maybe that could be something that Clash could go for now.
I feel like Anko is one that should have been banned by Great Invoxers because it's not really a hero that you want to play against Clash, but you really don't want to see Clash with that hero either. But Clash isn't going to go for it here. They are not big on the Anko.
Everyone just doesn't like Anko.
I was really surprised. I expected them to go for it because they are such an early game aggressive team, and that's where Anka can really shine, is if you have other early aggressive heroes around her. But Anka likely to not get picked up, I would assume, at this point. But with that Kensei first pick, again, he got a little bit of a buff, even though a lot of people already felt like he was fairly strong. The Tony pickup right away I like as well, because his rework is going to make him a little bit more of a unique hero to see.
Yeah.
The one that surprised me the most is actually the fact that they went for the Maline in that second rotation.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of other picks that have just been performing better.
Yeah, I think Maline is... I'd rather just pick a Celeste that early on in the draft, honestly. But I want to talk about Churnwalker because, first of all, it was Leon's favorite pick from the preseason. I'm kind of memeing a little bit. I'm pretty sure Leon's going to be playing captain. But Jiraxis also did a great job on the Churnwalker. We saw some sick Churnwalker plays last weekend from Great Invoxers.
Yeah, I mean, the Churnwalker is a big playmaker, especially when you pair it with a lot of that other AoE or burst damage, and they got the Baron to pair it with, so that's definitely a potential massive burst of damage. Grumpjaw.
Grumpjaw teleport boots.
Grumpjaw got a buff on this update.
Yeah, he did. Living armor.
The living armor it looks weak at first because it's only 1%, but then you figure that's 1% per stack, so that actually can build up and be not massively significant, but enough to make a difference.
So they've rounded it out. They've basically said, oh, you wanted us to get Celeste instead of Maline? Well, we'll get Celeste and Maline. So the job done. Lots of mages, I guess, is going to be the answer. So actually, this draft was way more serious than I thought it was going to be. When Clash banned Petal and Ozo, I was like, we could have a bit of a meme, but looks like we are going to have a serious game on our hands, and these are two pretty.
Although at the same time, if you're going to have a bit of a meme of a draft, Petal and Ozo are who you pick. So maybe they were making sure that they couldn't have a bit of a meme draft.
Maybe they were just the stalwart defenders of the draft. Let's take a look at our rosters to recap you guys of what we're going to be looking at here today. We've got Leon, Agony, Imagination, Just Man, and Disown. And I believe I'm the Doom was playing as well today. So, you know, like we said before, stacked roster coming out.
Yeah, you can interchange these players pretty much at will and not change the overall effectiveness of their team. But on the other side, with the tall task of going against Clash, is going to be Great Invoxus with Jiraxis, Refuse to Lose, Prostoi, Bukabepa Hookah, and Big Silver King looking to take down the Giants.
Absolutely, and their substitute is Sweet Honor, but we're ready to jump on into our game. It's going to be Clash stepping onto Sovereign's Rise for the first time here in the Summer Open, up against Great Invoxus.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I hope you are ready to get this show underway. This is our first series of the day over here on our European side. I'm joined by Flash X, and looks like we've got Great Invoxus moving, kind of flexing their muscle early on here, Flash.
Humanist, this is quite the honor to be able to cast alongside you. I think this is the first one, and it does look like Clash feeling very confident in their early game.
Feeling confident about getting first blooded right there. Bit of a mistake.
Yeah, in a little bit too deep. Pretty interesting stuff, though. They did pick up 3 of the 6 heroes that got buffed in Update 3.6.
Well, that's pretty nice. Obviously, they're reading the patch notes, and we'll go over that in just a second. It looks like Big Silver King dropped down a little bit too far, but he's going to be just fine. Got that healing flask. Leon will force him out with that Grumjaw. Disown rotates down the river with Imagination. They will have the movement speed. Nice Spitfire into the goop. This should be a dead Celeste, and they probably get more as well. One more attack. Get that Celeste right. Oh, he goes with the Spitfire. He's not going to get it. Turnwalker will die in the back of that fight. That's why I was thinking it's going to be at least 2 there. Disowned. He bit off more than he could chew. Will trade it out, though, as the Baron drops, and bit of a bloodbath early on here.
EU in classic fashion. We saw this a ton in the preseason. So much early game aggression. Before even 2 minutes into the game, there's already 5 kills on the board, but it does look like Clash actually has the gold advantage.
Clash has the gold advantage, and I mean, you look at all these players, we know them, all pro players. This is a strong squad. I got to see Great Invoxus play last weekend, and I was pretty impressed at what they were able to do, but this is going to be the real test for them here.
Yeah, definitely an uphill battle. You don't want to psych yourselves out too much before the game even gets started. I think Clash feels incredibly confident with the Petal and the Ozo bans. I don't know that those are necessarily gonna be meta picks.
I mean, the Petal ban may be a bit of a throwaway, but you know.
For sure. But yeah, definitely an uphill battle. But they have nothing to lose and a lot to prove here going up against Clash.
They do indeed. Let's talk about these compositions, though. I mean, do you have a favorite here? Are you seeing some strengths, some combos we should look out for?
I really like Clash's composition. Like I said, they picked up 3 of the 6 heroes that got buffed. And yeah, Great Invoxus actually picked up 2 of the heroes that got nerfed. That might not work out in their favor.
Oh my gosh. Clash was engaged upon, but they baited Great Invoxus in. They're going to get 2 off of this one, putting them up 5-2, 3.5 minutes in. And my man, that looked like Scarf was going to be the one to go down. Suddenly, you have 2 from Great Invoxus going down. And Baron on the back of it. Leon, calm down.
Yeah, that Grumjaw definitely getting a pretty, even though it's 1%, an extra entire percent of damage reduction on the Grumjaw. So strong, especially in the early game before people are able to build up a lot of damage, and definitely enables Grumjaw to dominate this early game. Leon already sitting at 4-0.
4-0 right now. That's pretty nuts. And that's 1% per stack as well, right? So that definitely is going to add up.
Exactly. All he has is boots and an O-cart, and he has no problem going in and front lining for his team.
The real pros, Flash would just stay on the boots if you were dominating this hard, right? Just keep dominating with the boots. Oh, Leon pulled back. Oh, he'll be okay. He's gonna live through that.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of an interesting build for Grumcha. I hope he's gonna pick up some damage. He went teleport boots. It's his first item. Leon, it's too early.
Someone's gonna get lulled.
Yeah, I think Leon's feeling very, very confident in his 4-0 start. Definitely not the typical build that you would normally expect. I think he's going to be looking for some of those big eats and then teleports back into his own base.
Dude, that's like how I live my real life. I just get out there, I get some food, I teleport back home into my cave as quickly as possible. But on this one, Leon's going to be getting some kills for sure. Unless, you know, sometimes you try to get that combo, you can make a mistake. Now, Leon jumps right into 4. Come on, guys, flex up on. How does Leon get in there into 4 and walk himself out? I know he's tanky, but Great and Voxus, they're going to continue to hang around here. A lot of damage stacking up against them, and they could be losing a couple here. They're really fighting over this Crystal Treant, and at the end, it goes over to Maline, and nobody goes down, surprisingly enough.
A lot of people sitting very low. I think if Leon would have gone a little bit more defensive in his starting items, I think that Clash actually could have taken that team fight. He doesn't really need the teleport boots until he hits that level 6 anyways. He's still only level 4 right now, but Clash looking for a little bit of an invade.
Path of Ronin in deep. Oh my goodness. They're going to get 2 off of that. They're going to get 3. That's the triple kill for I'm the Doom 6 minutes in. And Kensei got a buff too, right?
Kensei did get a buff, shortening the cooldown on his Kensho, allowing him to get involved and engage much earlier on into this game. And the fact that I'm the Doom is already level 7 at just 6 minutes into the game is a huge testament of how much stronger his early game potential is. And if he gets too scaled too early on, things could get out of control very quickly.
That borderline felt like they were already out of control. It was definitely just a nice read from him, plus abusing his advantage. Like you said, he had level advantage. I was just checking out. He had Spell Sword completed right before that engage, and he caught a couple people in that choke point there, and he's able to get in with Lotus Strike. I think the first one hit 2, and then just a nice call to follow up on that. And we can see this is going to happen over and over again. He's kind of player, if he sees an opening, he's going to take it.
I definitely like this call from Clash. I know Leon was the shot caller in the preseason. I assume that is still the case, but they understand that they are almost 5k gold ahead at this point. Going for the Ghost Wing definitely going to help exacerbate their lead.
What else is it going to do for them? Now, do they look to just pressure more objectives? Do they fight here?
A little bit of both. I mean, they know where Great and Voxus is on the map. Leon gonna get involved.
Leon so tanky now. He moves on in. That's going to be the Crucible blown off, and Great and Voxus will be on a defensive position here. They'll have 5 against 4. Kensei's still down on the bottom side of the map. A little trash talk. It's not going to land, but Celeste gets dumpstered as Agony able to thread in some of those Malice and Verdicts. And I think Great and Voxus, they need to try to get some of the turret aggro onto a hero and just dance around through this. But Leon, let's see, he's got a meal. He's not going to be teleporting out of this, and he's down, man. Oh, feels bad for the first item teleport boots there. They're going to lose 2 Imagination Falls, and Great and Voxus juggling some damage. Disown stands his ground, and it looks like he can go for more as 2 from Great and Voxus drop. Now Disown and Agony. Jiraxis, he can juke maybe some of the abilities coming out, but he's on the wrong side of the stick here, and this should be a dead Churnwalker as well. So 2 kills for Great and Voxus, but they're going to lose their turret and 3 of their own heroes.
Clash actually started that engagement so well. They were actually down a player in a 4v5 scenario because Kensei was still in that bottom lane split pushing the entire time. They got a little bit sloppy. They gave up a few kills, got a little bit overly aggressive more quickly than they should have, but mad props to Agony and Disown to turn it around and pick up the kills and get the turret on the backside of that.
I mean, honestly, looking at those kills, I would say those are very calculated kills and something you see from the most high-level teams across all of esports. A lot of times you do have 1 or 2 heroes that are going to die, but they set up your high damage dealers to go ahead and clean up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the Doom, though. He has just been farming relentlessly. Already sitting at level 9. He has a 4-level advantage over Churnwalker. Great and Voxus looking for an invade.
Oh my goodness. He's set up to be a hero down here. He's going to pop the weapon infusion and jump into the mix. Flash, he's in front of everybody. They're gonna get one. Leon stuffed up, but he's not gonna try and pour it out. They're just gonna try and kill everybody down here. Refuse to lose, gets wrecked, a trespass at the end. The ace comes through for Clash. We're 9 minutes in. They have 18 kills. I'm not good at math, Flash, but that seems pretty good.
18 kills is very good. They're immediately going to look to start pressuring this mid lane. They got another huge wave in the bot lane that they're going to be able to start sieging as well. I would imagine that they're going to look for a little bit of a split push here. It's just a question of how aggressive they want to get, but it does look like they're already going to start rotating down for that ghost wing that's going to be spawning here very shortly.
All right, so I'm the Doom. Essentially, like, he's not backing down from anything. If there are 3 heroes, 4 heroes, and he's just jumping into the mix in front of everybody, how do they deal with that?
Very hard. They need to be able to try and kite with this Baron, with this Celeste, allow the Tony and the Churnwalker to frontline, absorb a little bit of the damage, but it's so hard when you're already 9, almost 10k gold behind.
Leon just used teleport boots to a scout cam. He got on the backside of Great and Voxus. He's taking a lot of damage here, but look at this Dragon's Breath come out. Oh my goodness, disowned. Melting through Great and Voxus. I haven't seen one land like that in quite some time. Granted, he was backed up by his team. There was probably some Samuel splash damage coming through as well. Big Silver King. He's just food, and I'm the Doom's going to be playing with this food down here. He's going to go ahead and wait and troll him out with this respawn timer. So his team's going to come back all right now, but it's 20 more seconds before they'll have that Celeste out on the map.
That was a really good heads up play. So actually what he was doing right there was waiting until the last second possible to still secure the ace, while at the same time staggering the respawn timer of Celeste to allow his teammates to maximize their impact on the rest of the map.
This is just the heads up play. It's nice to see they're so far ahead right now, obviously dominating their opponent, but he's still making those clean mechanical plays.
Absolutely. At this point, they're almost 12k gold ahead of Great and Voxus. Clash sitting in a very good position. It's going to take a very large and very uncalculated play in order for Great and Voxus to get back into this one. They're grouped up a little bit. If I'm the Doom extends into a 1 versus 5, that might be one of the biggest mistakes he could possibly make. Give Great and Voxus a chance to get back into this. But Clash also playing very patiently, waiting for this Black Claw to come online, which is probably going to enable them to make their game-winning push.
You know, you say it could be a mistake. It could also be the legendary moment that gets clipped when he takes down 4 of them. Let's see how this is going to play out. The move in and the absolute deletion. Kinsey will take down Moline. They're looking for more. Big Silver King is going to get put into the dirt there. Lasted about half of a second. And looks like Clash probably drops back. They'll clear out some of this vision on the map and then get into Black Claw.
Yeah, they start taking the Black Claw. Great and Voxus not really going to be able to contest. I think at this point they really just need to try and turtle in their base. I really don't think that there's much of anything they can do. Clash is going to be looking for some of those highlight plays.
Well, highlight plays, I think they've already had a couple of them. Right now is a moment actually for Doom to get in there and make a highlight play. And he'll go ahead and break the chains, jump back. He probably wants that weapon buff before he gets in there and starts going ham here at the end.
Absolutely. Clash holding the Black Claw, seeing if Great and Voxus will come out and contest, allow them to kind of push out some of their lanes to maximize the impact with the Black Claw.
Doom and Imagination single-handedly debating Great and Voxus in. They were going to lose their Tony. Churnwalker's a second to drop. In fact, Leon over the wall with a Spitfire. Get wrecked, Celeste. And Prostoy, the only member of his team alive. And he'll watch as his base gets demolished. That'll be the first base turret. Armory's going to go down as well. I don't know if Black Claw takes a tick of damage. This Clash will be ending this one in sub 14 minutes.
Clash definitely confident in their skills. A little bit of BM, Eon running into the base fountain, getting himself killed. But yeah, this was a super clean victory for the side of Clash.
Super clean victory on the side of Clash. Not many mistakes made for them at all. Great and Voxus definitely have a chance to come back in game 2. We'll see if they can do so with a stronger draft. But for now, we'll send it back over to the desk.
Well, we said that Clash would be dominant, and that was one heck of a way to prove it right there. That was brutal to watch. What, 14-minute game, I think it was in the end?
Yeah. I mean, this is what we expected out of Clash, though. Like, this is what we were talking before. I said I would be surprised if these games go over 15 minutes because that's just the style that Clash plays is very conducive to early ending games.
Yeah, they are not afraid to dive turrets. They are not afraid to make those plays happen. Let's just remind you guys where we are in the bracket. This is our Razorphone Group A bracket, and you can see Clash and Great Invoxes battling it out there. They're going to be moving, one of these two is going to be moving on to the quarterfinals. It feels like it's probably going to be Clash. Let's be reasonable here. They have been looking absolutely fantastic so far. But let's take a look at, who Clash are. For anyone that missed our pre-show here today, Clash were fantastic during the preseason as well.
Yeah, and they were just as dominant in the preseason as they were in this previous game. You can see, again, the same things that we saw in this game happening in the rewind. It was the same exact sort of style of just group up early, push in, find kills, and then turn those kills into objective takes.
Yeah, absolutely. And just no fear, right? They're happy to be aggressive. And against any team, like, it doesn't matter which opponent they're up against, they still stick to their style. That was our Rockstar rewind of the preseason. But let's talk about what Clash did in this game to dominate. Because, right from the they didn't actually get first blood. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Great Invoxes got the first kill of the game.
But that was about one of the only.
That's kind of it.
There were two moments for Great Invoxes that were good moments for them.
Yeah.
One of them was the first blood, but then that turned into a 3-2 in favor of Clash when all was said and done. But then later on in the game, Clash 6 minutes in, Grumpjaw with teleport boots teleports to mid. They dive under the mid turret and get a triple kill, immediately setting up the Ghost Wing. That was one of the things I talked about before this game, was the Ghost Wing focus from these top teams. The other moment was a little bit later than that, like literally about a minute and a half later. There's the play up on that top turret. They dove in, 4v5. Two of them got killed. Great Invoxes, if they backed off there, they win that trade. They maybe start to build something as a comeback. Instead, they chased more kills, ended up losing 3 and the turrets.
All right, well, we are into the draft for game number 2 here. We're going to have the team swapping sides. So with Clash now on second pick, maybe that changes how this is going to pan out. I'm curious to see what their bans are going to be, because obviously kind of messed around with the bans a little bit in game number 1, but when it came to actually drafting, they were playing very much to win. Like, there was no messing around once it got to the game. They kind of, BM'd a little bit, died on the fountain at the end there, but like,
that's when the game was already
the game was
secure at that
over
point,
already.
yeah.
Like, there was no messing about when it was like, are we going to win? Are we going to lose? It was like, no, we are absolutely going to roll this game. So, I'm expecting to see something relatively serious. It's actually Great Invoxes that Van Petal this time. Maybe the morale is broken.
Or maybe Petal is a sleeper pick that none of the pros have told us about, but all of them have figured out.
We'll see. We'll see in future weeks. Kinetic is going to be the next man. Saw taken off the table. Yeah, I guess that's the thing that happened. Reza has been let through, though. So Great Invoxes do have a power pick on their side.
But now, which power picks are going to go over to the side of Clash? They take the Kensei right away. They grab themselves Samuel again. Samuel was a big factor in that turnaround fight that I was talking about at the 7.5-minute mark of game 1. They tried to chase down a couple extra kills, ended up getting blown up by the Samuel pick. So that's obviously picks that Clash really like on that side, is the Kensei and Samuel together.
All right, well, we'll have to see. Flicker is going to be locked in for Great Invoxes. So I'm excited to see how Flicker will do. It was a pick that we saw actually in the EPL a fair bit.
We saw it last week as well. It won last week.
Yes, that's true. I'm still not convinced by the pick.
It won with, what was it, a 7-0-8 scoreline for the Flicker last week?
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the Flicker.
I don't think that was to do with the Flicker, though.
It was 100% the Flicker.
That was just a one-sided
that is
matchup.
My expert analysis.
And Flicker
that
got the
Flicker
benefit of that.
was the sole reason that they won that game that well.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. But Dashio and Kestrel are going to be locked in here for Clash. So, like we said before, still definitely looking at a very standard roster for them. And, if that Kestrel doesn't go to I'm the Doom, like, I don't. For any of you guys that are new to Vainglory, I'm the Doom is widely renowned as one of, if not the best Kestrel in the world.
Yeah, and when Crystal Kestrel was running rampant over Halcyon Fold, I'm the Doom was pretty much banned. You either banned Kestrel against them or you lost. It was one option or the other. And so definitely, if we do see I'm the Doom with that Kestrel, it's something to keep your eye on for sure. But on the other side, the Baron coming through again alongside the Tony, obviously hoping to have a bit more of an impact with the Baron this time around.
Yeah, this is a very squishy composition from Great Invoxus, though. Like, they have damage. If they can get ahead, they can roll a game. But if you can't get ahead, like, these guys are going to get melted down, especially by the likes of, you've got a Kestrel in there, you've got a Samuel who's going to cleave between these guys, and now a Kensei who can jump onto the back line. Yeah, if they fall behind against Clash, it's going to be over before it's even begun.
Yeah, you got to worry about that Grumpjaw as well. We saw last game Leon going for the teleport boots early, so that you have to worry about where he is at all times, because he can show up in a fight at a moment's notice.
It really can happen. Let's just remind you guys at home what everybody is playing for here. This is our Poker Go format. We're going to be taking a look at the prize pool in a moment. But just to remind you guys, there is $5,000 on the line for each of these regions, and that's brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. And our top prize is going to be $3,000, and obviously bragging rights as well. You get to be named the best of your region, and you take home a good chunk of change as well.
Yeah, and there's no disputing it anymore. In the preseason, some people are like, well, we didn't get a chance to play in the preseason because we weren't invited. Now there's none of those question marks anymore because everyone had the opportunity.
All right, well, that is going to be our pregame done. It's time to jump on into this one. It's Clash versus Great Invoxus. 1-0 to Clash so far. We'll see if Great Invoxus can come back on into this series.
And we are back onto the rise for game number 2 in our first series of the day here. Game 1 going over to Clash in spectacular fashion. Looks like they got a couple of the same core heroes, but a different bit of a flavor in this draft, Mr. Flash.
I do like Great Invoxus's draft much better this game, but those mechanics, the difference, Clash, such a high-level team. You have the Flicker starting with the Dragon Blood contract, so Great Invoxus is going to look to be very aggressive very early on, and if they can find kills in this early game, that is going to be their key to standing even remotely a chance against Clash.
And that Dragon Blood contract going to work early on will force Leon back out. And in fact, they wrap around on the top side of that river. Leon goes down. First blood to Great Invoxus. That was a really nice little flank play.
The first blood going over to Great Invoxus 2 games in a row now. This game, they're not giving up any deaths on the backside of it, so that's very good for them. They need to keep this aggression up, though.
And Draxus will continue to go on to Disowned. Looks like a little trash talk, pulls Disowned back. He's backed up by Imagination, and with enough healing, they turn around, they got the damage, they take down the Flicker. A 3 versus 2 situation turned around, and that's one of those combos that can really do it. Adagio plus that Samuel, there's a lot of regen there.
So much sustain, so tanky early on into this game. Imagination actually started with the Protector contract, so actually mitigating some of the damage coming out of Dragon Blood. Very important for keeping Samuel alive. But yeah, having the mana advantage there, that is not the kind of result that you want from an early engagement if you're on the side of Great Invoxus.
Dude, I didn't even notice that Protector contract. I like it personally, but why don't we see this item more often?
It's just one of those things where a lot of times some of the early game items, they scale better and they have just much more impact. I think that it was just a matter of circumstance that the Protector contract did be so effective right there, because it really did help keep Disowned alive on that Samuel.
Yeah, that was one of the, you could tell, like, he was saying, dude, just stand your ground, I got your back. Probably waiting for like a Gift the Fire off cooldown plus that Protector contract. That's going to be hard to burn through. Either way, we like it. We're tied up 1-1 as we approach the 3-minute mark here, and this is kind of the moment in last game between here like 3 and 7 minutes where Clash started to kind of put their foot down on the pedal in game 1. What can Great Invoxus do to kind of stem that pressure?
They really need to just keep up the early game pressure. That's where Flicker is at his peak in terms of game impact. Catching heroes out in the jungle like this Kestrel who's farming away and finding early game kills is going to be very important, because I think if this game goes too late, Clash is just going to simply outscale the side of Great Invoxus.
Well, that makes sense to me. And a bit of a bummer that Draxus rotated up there. He drops that scout cam on the weapon treant, didn't go for the gold oak, and that's where the Kestrel was. So that means like this rotation's wasted. Maybe he gets it on the next one.
You gotta hope for it. He's gonna get a little bit of a recall here. Go back, find a little bit more tankiness in the shop. Picks up the kinetic shield. It's definitely gonna help him frontline if he is looking for engagement on to the Samuel for sure. But Leon once again picking up those teleport boots, and we're not even 4 minutes into the game yet.
Not even 4 minutes in. I mean, what else? What could be the other reason that he's picking this? I mean, you get 150 max health, 15 shield, 15 armor. It's something that he wants later on. Is it worth it in your mind?
Not at all. I mean, he doesn't have the teleport. I still think that that's exactly what he's looking for. Last game, we didn't even see him use the first teleport until much later on into the game. So if he does pick up some of those next items, he went Crucible. It's his second item in the last game. I don't know why he wouldn't just get the Crucible first. And then if he is looking for some of those fancy teleport-based plays, then just get the boots second item.
The fancy teleport plays. We'll see if he can pull that off here in this game. He definitely just, it seemed in game one, he was all about just tanking, setting up his team, and Baron actually finding a kill onto the Kestrel there. Not sure what happened. I'm sure Tony helped set him up there.
Yeah, definitely. He went in, found a little bit of the taunt, forced Kestrel, wasn't able to miss, and then Baron just came in and cleaned up the kill.
Right now, Great Invoxus rotating up towards the weapon treant and Gold Oak area. Imagination's here along with Agony, and it's going to be, look at that, teleport in from Leon. So he gets here really quickly, able to contest, and maybe we're seeing it put to work. Jiraxis caught and taken down. Buka, does he have jump jets? 3 seconds. There's a good chance Buka could potentially go down here. Can he get back? Yes, but just barely. But the attack follows him. Imagination able to get it, and that's what feels bad, man. Mr. Flash. This looks like Agony going in for more, backed up once again by Leon. Refused to lose. We'll pull them back, allowing Big Silver King to throw those Spitfires from range. Doom very quickly getting down in that active camo to reposition himself so they can take this double camp as well. And Clash very effectively rotating to defend their jungle and then quickly getting into the jungle of Great Invoxus.
Absolutely beautifully set up by the side of Clash there. That is why Leon grabbed those teleport boots. They put the scout cam down, play a little bit of a bait, because if you're on the side of Great Invoxus, you think you have the man advantage, but when Leon comes in and just becomes this massively tanky frontline, there's not a lot you can do.
Look at that. I mean, Big Silver King, he can throw Spitfires all day long, but Leon just jumps in. A one shot from the top river will help secure that kill, and Draxus, there's nowhere to go, buddy. He's down. That'll be Clash up 6-2, currently at a kill a minute.
You have both Agony and Disowned with double buffs right now. They're doing so much damage here at 6.5 minutes into the game. And if you're on the side of Great Invoxus, you can't give up that many buffs. If you see the enemy team invading into your jungle, you need to try and find a trade, because there should be no situation where two of the most deadly carries on the side of Clash are carrying both of the buffs.
Yeah, it's pretty scary right now, and they're going to bear down onto this first turret down in bot lane. Baron, you're in a tough place. He's going to get eaten on up. Not sure they even needed to, but he'll quickly be chopped down. I think that kill goes over to I'm the Doom. Pad his stats a little. He's 2-1-1 at this point, and the Clash will continue to apply pressure down in bottom lane. I don't see why not.
Yeah, there's no reason.
On to 2. Can they follow up on this? They jump on in. Agony, Slicer, Daisu. The one shot from the jungle connects on the Big Silver King, but he bit off more than he could chew. And nice tasty little throw.
Yeah, Agony feeling pretty confident after he picked up that Serpent's Mask. Unfortunately, his team did not feel as confident. They kind of went the other direction when he looked for that dive underneath the turret.
I mean, for me, it felt like if his team backs him up at all there, they get those kills. Do you disagree?
No, absolutely agree with you for sure. Unfortunately, they just weren't all on the same page, and that's definitely going to be something that could hurt them against some of these higher skilled teams.
I mean, that's something about competitive play too, right? You know, we all know, like, you get all these good players on a team, you know what they're capable of, and on paper you can say, like, okay, yeah, they're getting the situation, they're going to take it, but one shot, oh, not going to land. But sometimes it's just a bit of miscommunication, right? Like, the mistakes can be made anywhere at any time.
Absolutely. Clash very effectively pressuring all sides of the map here, looking to get a little bit aggressive in the top lane. Leon, even though he's not with them, he has those teleport boots ready to go. All they have to do, either drop a scout cam, he can also go to one of his minions. So I think that they might be looking for a little bit of a bait.
The turret goes down. You have 3, now 4 from Great and Voxus up in the top lane. I'm not sure why Prostoy rotates after that, leaving Big Silver King here in mid. And that was the stuffed attempt. Was that blocked off there, or he just missed?
I'm not. It looked pretty. It looked like he had him, but
I thought so too. But there's no block on the scarf.
Right, Leon may have accidentally spit him out almost immediately. We'll have to check that one in a replay, see exactly what happened.
I'm sure Tasty Bacon's frothing at the mouth to let us know exactly what happened.
For sure. Clash, again, pressuring all sides of the map, making sure they're extending this gold lead. They're only at 6K, so they're not as far ahead as what they were last game, but with Ghostwing about to come back online, that's something that I'm sure that they're going to want to posture and get ready to take almost immediately.
Also, this weapon tram will be spawning up down here. It'll be a point of contention. That's the War Treads in from Clash. They make the go call. And let's see, this is Tony trying to disrupt the fight as his team tries to kite back. They've lost one betrayed imagination down. Now Clash, they kick it into high gear. They'll take 4 down, refuse to lose the only member to stay alive from Great and Voxus. And a pretty phenomenal fight out of Clash, a 4-for-1 trade.
That's the exact type of coordination that you would expect out of a team like Clash. You saw the War Treads, they all went in at exactly the same time. Picked up 4 kills on the backside of it. I'm a little bit surprised to not see them go straight for Ghostwing. All their waves are pushing, which is going to be really, really good for them. But it looks like they're still just going to continue to farm.
They're going to continue to farm. I mean... looks like they'll start it up now. I was gonna say, like, I wonder if they're gonna use it as kind of like a bait tool on the map. It's just kind of like a light that Great and Voxus will be attracted to, but they go ahead and start it up now. There is vision down in the pit here, and a couple of members of Great and Voxus rotating over. In fact, they have a 4 around this area. It would be a 4 versus 4 skirmish, but they're not going to go ahead and try for it. In fact, Leon, though, he ports down to the scout cam that was on the backside of the pit there. He's going to start to light up Great and Voxus. They're trying to get back, refuse to lose. Can he do something to peel for his team? Leon looks like he got the stuffed on the Big Silver King, drops him off for a tasty little snack. Reza's down. Jiraxis is down on the flicker. A triple kill comes through for I'm the Doom's Kestrel. We know I'm the Doom is a phenomenal Kestrel. Plus his team having a great game, and these guys just playing lights out.
Yeah, I'm a Doom, absolutely phenomenal on the Kestrel. He's got a little bit of an interesting build. I'm not sure that we have seen that too much with the Spell Sword breaking point. Definitely gives him that energy throughout the game to continuously Glimmer Shot and active camo. Again, his mechanics are so good, and we'll kind of have to see how that scales throughout this game.
Have you seen the breaking point stacking up at all?
Not yet. I think he actually just picked it up before the previous team fight, so we'll have to see, especially once Great and Voxus starts to get a little bit tankier and might be able to live a little bit longer through some of these engagements, how exactly the breaking point will stack up.
Oh my god, just praying that your opponent will build more health so you can stack your breaking point, but they come in, they actually find the Kinsei and take him down. Now, this is the best position that Great and Voxus have found themselves in so far, but Leon, he jumps right into the thick of things. They'll be able to take down the Scarf and Flicker. They almost took down Leon. Great and Voxus is almost making the plays they need, but in the Drifting Dark, Malice inverted, disowned. Who are you? That's not right. Get in there. Take Refuse to Lose down. You can't be giving up that quadra kill so easy, Flash.
Absolutely great turnaround from the side of Clash. That was actually exactly what Great and Voxus needed. It was a beautiful ult from Flicker. They were all on the same page. They got engaged. They found the pickup onto Agony, but unfortunately, Clash, great rotations to come in and bail their team out of some trouble.
Absolutely bailed out there. It is crazy how tanky Leon is, and he runs right into the thick of things. He'll jump onto 3 or 4 heroes. He'll absorb all of that damage and just allows Samuel and Kestrel to hang out behind, just apply that splash damage coming out of Samuel. And man, that was nuts as they tried to round that corner around Gold Oak. That was Malice and Verdict sitting on 2-3 people every single time. One shot connects. Black Claw's healthy. They'll go ahead and start to burn down the first base turret here. Clash in a position to close this game out if they play their cards right. They move in with the War Treads, trying to get onto some key targets. They'll take down Scarf. Kinsey playing a little ninja move right there. They'll go ahead and take down Reza second, and now in an amazing position to close this one out in under 14 minutes if they don't lose somebody here. It looks like I'm the Doom actually did go down. Imagination's low as well, and Leon, what is this? He's gonna try and get like a scout cam down or something? Yeah, he's gonna get a scout cam down deep. I was wondering if he's gonna do this. And look at it, he's just buying some time for his team, having some fun. I don't know about that.
He probably could have teleported home if he really wanted to. The living armor buff that Grumchaw got this patch is proving to be crucial in terms of just allowing Grumchaw to swing very, very heavily back into this meta. That 1% adding up over those 5 stacks is crazy with how tanky Grumchaw is.
So tanky right now, and you know, when you have a player like Leon that has the eye for positioning, the eye for engagements, it's a pretty incredible hero to be able to jump in. You jump in with that A, you get onto multiple heroes, allows your team to follow up. Plus, he's the War Tread carrier making the calls and all of these engagements, so it's just working out really nice for them. One shot will secure the Ghost Swing down here, and with that, Clash will make their next objective move on the map.
Yeah, they're going to try and wait and see exactly where Great and Voxus is sitting. If you're on the side of Great and Voxus, there's not a whole lot that you can do being down almost 10k in gold. You might need to look for another one of Flicker's really good Fairy Dust engages. But Clash, going to go straight onto this bottom tier turret.
Yeah, they already used the War Treads to get down onto that turret quicker. Great and Voxus don't even have time to react here. Flicker tries to get into the thick of things, still using that Dragon Blood contract. Imagination winds up with a verse. It's not a huge connect. In fact, Disowned is the first to go down. Prostoy trying to kite back under that healing platform. Draxus and him get back. Refuse to lose, stays alive as well. This is about the best fight that they could have hoped for. Leon jumps back in. Draxus down. Big Silver King, gotta get back. He's got a healing flask. He stays alive. They're trying to juggle the damage and get back here to protect the Vein Crystal. Can they do so? Clash, they're locked on. The objective call has been made. Leon is angry, and the Vein Crystal has exploded. It 22-8, 16 minutes, and Clash will take game 1 and 2 and the series here. Flash.
Yeah, great stuff from the side of Clash. They played very, very cleanly and definitely looking like they're currently one of the best teams in Europe.
Looking like a tasty little snack over there in Europe. And with that, let's go ahead and throw it back over to Tasty Bacon and Munchables.
All right, well, Clash have gone and done it. They've managed to take 2 games consecutively, and they were relatively one-sided.
I don't
think it's fair to say.
managed is the right word there.
Manhandled, maybe.
It's not so much that they managed to get 2 wins. It's that they just kind of got the 2 wins.
They waltzed in and just took them off the counter, and Great and Voxus were like, can we? No. Go home, Great and Voxus. You're done now. Clash is here.
There were a couple moments for Great and Voxus. Again, early on, they got the first blood again. They didn't give up too much for it, but when it came to, again, the individual matchups, you know, we were looking at it, and 2, 3, 4 minutes in, the kills are even. It was 1 apiece, 2 apiece, but Clash had like a 1 to 2k gold lead at the time, and that's, again, boils down to the individual player matchups, just being able to out-farm your opponent.
It's always difficult to deal with that when the goal lead is so significant. Let's take a look at our Razorphone bracket. At the end of our European games for today, Clash have managed to take their series against Great and Voxus and have qualified for their quarterfinal, and they're going to be going up against Ra Fury. Now, if you have been with us all day, then you'll know that Ra Fury managed to take their game in the end by default. Danger Zone team did not show up for their game here today, so Ra Fury have moved on, and they are now into the quarterfinals against Clash.
Like I said, team with 7 players versus team with 5 players. I will always err on the side of team with 7 players because they just usually, it's a sign that they're a little bit more prepared.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to be how Group A is going to be looking moving into future weeks. But before we continue talking about today, let's have a quick word from Razor. right, so here is our schedule for the rest of today. You can see in the top, Europe has already happened now. We had a win towards War Fury? Ra Fury, because Danger Zone did not show up for their game, and then we had Clash 2-0 against Great Voxes. Later on today, though, we're going to be jumping into our North American games. We've got Rampage Gods versus Playful Things first, and then Tribe Gaming up against Toxic Peace.
And that's the game that I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to. Tribe is, again, one of these top teams, and how are they going to fare against the play team? Or rather, how is the play-in team going to fare against Tribe? I think is probably the better way of wording that. But, you know, Toxic Peace, they were one of these teams that looked pretty good in their play-in match.
Yeah, they certainly did. Toxic Peace had a very confident showing during their play-in matches, but once again, play-ins versus pros, essentially. It's like the David and Goliath story. We've seen what it looks like in EU. We'll see whether that's going to be different over in North America. I know Tribe, they like to mess around a little bit. We've definitely seen some similar Grumpjaw play coming out from Tribe in the past. So, well, it definitely should be an entertaining series regardless.
We also heard last week from Dienzio, you know, they're feeling extremely confident coming into the entire tournament, let alone this matchup. So you have to assume that Tribe, especially seeing this game, is going to be feeling even better going into their match.
And honestly, as well, the fact that TSM is no longer a team grouped together as a unit in Vainglory now, Tribe kind of have an open door here. This is their season to cement themselves as the top team in Vainglory 5v5, at least for North America, which, you know, in preseason they really struggled with. And people were questioning whether Child's Play would come back for the Summer Open. It's not happened. So Tribe now with a very real opportunity, and there are teams on the other side of the bracket that are going to look to try and stop that happening, like Nova, for example. But Tribe definitely with a shoe-in right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're easily the favorite in North America because, like you mentioned, the only team that really was heavily opposing them in the preseason was Nova getting a win off them, and then TSM. TSM, now 3/5 of TSM is over on the side of Vision, but it's not the full TSM roster.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder, is it going to be the same? Are they going to be able to put the same fight against Tribe? That's something that we're going to find out later in the tournament, assuming they are both able to win their games.
Yeah, we'll have to see as the weeks progress. That's going to be the end of it from us here in Europe, but we're going to be jumping over to our North American games. That's going to be happening at 12 p.m. PT, so make sure to join us for that. We're going to be heading into a bit of a break before our North American games do kick off, but make sure you're back here at 12 o'clock. We'll be there, and we'll see you for our North American matches.